Have you ever read an entire page, reached the end, and realized you don't remember a single word? Or maybe someone introduced themselves, you smiled, shook their hand, and 5 seconds later, their name was gone. You didn't choose to forget. Your brain simply deleted it. But why? Why can you remember an embarrassing moment from 10 years ago, yet completely forget something you learned just 5 minutes ago? The answer isn't that your memory is bad. In fact, your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do. Here's something most people never realize. Your brain was never designed to remember everything. It was designed to forget. Every second, your senses collect an unbelievable amount of information. The feeling of your clothes, the sound of traffic outside, the temperature of the room, the color of every object around you, every smell, every face, every voice, and every word. Scientists estimate that your brain receives millions of bits of sensory information every single second. If it tried to remember all of it, you would become completely overwhelmed. So instead, it acts like an incredibly selective editor. Before any information becomes a memory, it has to pass one simple test. Will this matter later? If the answer is no, your brain quietly deletes it without ever asking your permission. Neuroscientists call this process memory consolidation. Every new experience first enters a small part of your brain called the hippocampus. Think of it as your brain's temporary storage room. Nothing stays there forever. Your hippocampus is constantly making decisions. It decides what deserves a permanent place in your memory and what quietly disappears. The surprising part is that most information never survives this stage. That's why you can study something, feel like you've understood it perfectly, and still forget most of it just a few hours later. Not because you failed to learn, but because your brain never believed it was important enough to keep. Here's where things get fascinating. Your brain doesn't judge importance using logic. It judges importance using emotion, repetition, and survival. Imagine touching a hot stove. You only need to do it once. The pain creates such a powerful emotional signal that your brain stores the memory almost instantly. Now compare that to reading 10 pages of a textbook. There's no danger, no excitement, no emotional impact. To your ancient brain, those pages feel no more important than yesterday's weather forecast. That's exactly why stories are easier to remember than facts. Stories create emotion, and emotion tells your brain, pay attention. This matters. Throughout human history, this made perfect sense. Our ancestors didn't survive by memorizing random information. They survived by remembering where danger lived, which plants were poisonous, who could be trusted, and where to find food. Memory didn't evolve to preserve knowledge. It evolved to increase your chances of survival. There's another reason you forget so quickly. It's called the forgetting curve. Back in 1885, psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus made a fascinating discovery. Without reviewing new information, people forget nearly half of what they learn within just 1 hour. A few days later, most of it is gone. That might sound like a flaw, but it isn't. Forgetting is actually one of your brain's greatest strengths. Imagine if your brain remembered every conversation, every advertisement, every license plate, every face you passed on the street, and every random thought you've ever had. Your mind would become completely overwhelmed. So instead, your brain constantly cleans house. It removes information that doesn't seem useful, making room for memories that truly matter. Think of it like your phone storage. If you never deleted old photos and used apps or unnecessary files, eventually you'd run out of space. Your brain works in almost the same way. It isn't trying to remember everything. It's trying to remember the right things. So how do you convince your brain that something is worth keeping? Simple. Give it a reason to care. Review what you've learned before your brain decides to throw it away. Connect new ideas to memories you already have. Turn boring facts into vivid stories. Teach the information to someone else. Ask questions. The more meaning you attach to an idea, the harder it becomes for your brain to delete it. And there's one more thing your brain needs. Sleep. While you're asleep, something incredible happens. Your brain quietly replays the events of the day, strengthening the memories that matter and letting the unimportant ones slowly fade away. In other words, learning doesn't end when you close the book. It ends when your brain decides, this is worth keeping. So the next time you forget something, don't be so quick to blame yourself. Your brain isn't lazy. It isn't broken. It's simply doing the job evolution gave it. Every second, it's filtering an overwhelming flood of information, searching for the tiny fraction that might actually matter in the future. The real secret to remembering more isn't forcing your brain to work harder. It's understanding how your brain decides what's worth remembering in the first place. Once you understand that, you stop fighting your brain, and you start working with it. Because memory isn't about storing everything. It's about keeping what truly matters. And maybe that's the most remarkable thing about the human brain. It doesn't just remember. It chooses. Every single day. What becomes a part of you. And what quietly disappears forever. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.